Hey, race fans, man, I'm glad you guys all come back to see me today. I'll tell you what, things have been going really good. I know, it's just almost scary. And the thing is, we're having the second episode of the Millionaire Daredevil, and it's our final chapter for old Joe Boyer. And his real name was Lawrence Coram. I don't know, that poor guy, a name like that. But anyhow, and they called him LL Corn, okay? And thing is, what I want to kind of explain is, we're kind of building this show, and what we've decided is that we're going to go for the racer. We're going to go for the racer, The racers are the only ones that are really interested in Joe Boyer in 1924 or whatever, or the 1960s or the 70s or whatever. And the thing is, if you have other people that aren't really into that, well, I really think you'd enjoy the show though, because we talk about a lot of things. But anyhow, we're really focusing on the racer from this time forward. But anyhow, probably shouldn't have said that. But I'm an honest guy. I don't like to baloney. And we might change. We'll just have to wait and see. So, let's get to Joe Boyer, okay? Boyer won the 1924 Indy 500, like I said earlier. And, in the last episode. And, well, just wait a minute. I'm going to be just like the race drivers, I'm telling you. Man, this stuff is fantastic. You got to be kind of careful with it. But anyhow, it's good. And Kyle Busch don't give me nothing. And this is to support my driver, Rico. Rico's going to run, I think, a full schedule of the World of Outlaws this year. And this is a company, Kyle Busch is backing me, and or sponsoring me, and I like Kyle Busch too, by the way. But back to Boyer. He did win the Indy 500 as a co-driver, and it was the fastest Indy 500 in history at that time, as I mentioned in the last video. And he was the first co-driver to win the Indy 500. And it was the first win with a supercharged engine, the 1924 Indy 500. I mean, it was a big year for first, And the thing is that that purse paid $30,000 to win, and that was in 1924. And the thing is that was just chump change to old Joe. He was out there racing. That's all he was doing. I hate to guess how much money he put into research and development of that supercharged engine. Oh my gosh. And it held up, and it made its way. Of course, like I said in the last video, I hate that. But anyway, in the last video, he broke the shear pin on his blower and put him out of the race and so on. And of course, the other car went out. But anyhow, it paid $30,000 to win, and Joe gave it to Coram. He gave his share to Coram, because Coram had a wife and kids and everything. And the thing is, he was running fourth, and who knows what would have happened if he had stayed in the car. We don't know. And Joe didn't need the money anyway. He could care less. And so he gave that money to him. And that's a racer. Racers do that. Racers do that all the time. Stuff like that. He didn't need the money. Heck, old Coram, he could use the money. So anyway, Joe's dad, he telegraphed Joe. He said, "Hey, Joe, man, congratulations, man. That's really something, You won the Indy 500 as a co-driver. This is really something." Now, don't you think it's time to go do something else before you get killed or something? Well, the thing is, Joe didn't pay no attention to that. He went on racing, you know, and he ran the board tracks. And as a matter of fact, I think he was killed on the board track. I could be wrong on that. But then, yep. Anyway, September 1st, 1924, he made it through the summer. Okay, damn near made it through the season. But it hit Alton, Pennsylvania board track, and he lost it or whatever. I don't really have any details on the accident itself, but which I don't really care, doesn't matter. But the press they thought it was very heroic what he done, because he could have took the infield. He could have took the infield, but he chose to take the wall instead. And the infield was full of spectators, and of course back then, you know, they didn't have safety precautions. Nobody really cared. I mean, you know, it was a different world back then. And he didn't take the infield, he took the wall. And his last words was, I'm glad I saved him. That was his last words. When the crew got there to get him out of the car, you know, and got him out of, you know, and that was his last words. And it crushed his legs, and it was a real nasty wreck. Of course, you know, on a board track, you're doing, you know, a tremendous amount of speed. And of course, the cars weren't safe back then at all. And they didn't have, basically safety was a joke, or they didn't even consider it. I mean, it was unbelievable. And what I also find unbelievable as I was researching this, they drew up to 70,000 fans. 70,000 fans to a board track. Can you imagine that? 70,000 fans show up in 1924. And look at the transportation and how these people got there, you know. And the thing is, like Carl Fisher, who built the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he was a promoter, he was something else. And the first Indy 500, he arranged trains for fans from Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, Cincinnati, you know. He arranged train for the race fans to get to Indianapolis, you know. And I find it amazing, you know, cars back in 1924, you know, the tires weren't very good, and you had flat tires, and they weren't really, you know, I mean, they're not like cars today. And what an effort that was for them to make it to the track. Now, 70,000 people, I just couldn't believe that. But the thing is, you know, they didn't have TV, and they didn't have all that stuff, and like we do now. And it was entertainment. It was a bloodbath, you know. I mean, oh my gosh. Today, the racing community would just be totally up in arms. These guys out there in these unsafe cars at super high speeds on a super high bank track. I mean, it took real courage, you know. And the thing is, you know, this was years later. You know, I told you about the deal with Wilbur Shaw, but that was like in the 30s, where there was holes in the track because the boards were, I mean, to me, it's complete insanity. You know, I don't think I could go to one of them races. I really don't. I just don't think I could take it. I really don't. And I love racing. I believe me, I do love racing. I love speed. I love all that stuff. But man, oh man, oh man. So anyway, with all that being said, we're going to go into, I don't know exactly who my next show is going to be. But the thing is, like I mentioned before in the last video, Miller was coming on the scene down in Indianapolis with these cars. And Miller, my gosh, oh my gosh. I mean, they sold race cars, buddy. And I mean, they were built in California, and they poured the hubs, and I mean, they were built from the ground up. I mean, from raw materials into beautiful race cars. And they had the Drake engine, I think it was called the Drake, which then Winfield got his hands on it, and messing with it, and he developed the Offie. The thing is, when they all went broke, he gathered up that engine because he'd been developing it. I don't know if he made a deal with Miller or whatever, or he stole it or whatever. I don't know what he did. But anyway, he took it back to Chicago, and then the Fred Offenhauser, he picked it up and put the money in it to develop this engine that domineered Indianapolis for years. And the only reason it's not there anymore is because they changed the rules on the cubic inch and stroke and all that stuff. And basically, they was trying to get rid of the Offie, basically, because it was a very expensive engine. And Chevy, General Motors, was really pushing hard to get into the racing business. And that's how that all happened. But the Offie, clear up into the 60s, and they put fuel injection on them, and they put turbochargers, and of course, then they made the Novi. The Novi was two Offies put together, and I can't think of that guy's name. But anyway, they poured the blocks in Chicago. Well, the Winfields are the ones that kind of put the deal together, but as far as the machine shop goes, but I can't think of the guy's name right now. But the Novi, and I was so lucky. I got to see a Novi run. I got to see one run. I can't tell you exactly what year it was, but Wheeler was the driver. And as far as I know, it was the last Novi to be on the speedway in competition. It was a qualifying run, and that Wheeler was making for Andy Granatelli. And so he went in too deep in turn 3 and got the wall. I was there. I was in turn 4 when that happened. But to hear that Novi was just unbelievable. And of course, it was on Bubble Day, and Andy was trying to get this thing in the show, and so on, so on, so on. And when that thing fired up, the place wasn't packed by any stretch of imagination, but there was a lot of people down there. And the place light up. People, the Novi was, and the Novi killed a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers wouldn't even drive the damn thing. And Andy Granatelli, he bought them up, and he brought it back, and he had Bobby Unser, as a rookie in that thing. Of course, Bobby Unser was, fearless. But anyway, Bobby kind of squeezed the throttle a little too tight. The first lap, and she broke loose on him, because that engine was just unreal. And she broke loose on him, and he spun it in turn 1, and it just broke my heart, because I'd seen Bobby Unser in Albuquerque, New Mexico at Duke Speedway running a modified, like in the 60s, 61 or something. And then the next thing I seen him at Indy. And Unser's out west. I'm telling you that, and you're talking racing, Unser's are gods. Really, I don't know about now, because everybody's pretty well retired, and I guess Al Unser Jr. the third or whatever evidently either couldn't cut the mustard, or he just didn't want to do it. And I did see him run in Phoenix. I seen him running, and he didn't look bad to me. He really didn't. He looked pretty good, and I could go on and on and on. I just love racing. you know, and I just want to share my love for the sport with you. So, you know my motto, you know, you walk down the street, yeah, you say hi, oh, you got a nice dress or whatever, or, you know, whatever. And, you know, when the waitress comes, you know, like I tell you, yeah, I'm going to tell you something, me and Connie, we like French fries, they bring us so many French fries, we can't eat them all. Matter of fact, just the other day, I said to Connie, I said, I'm not going to order fries, you order fries, and maybe we can eat all these that they give you. And plus, the waitress will say, well, wait a minute here. If you order this instead of this, you'll save $3. You know, I mean, be nice to people. You know, make their day. Don't try to ruin it, okay? So anyway, make somebody's day. God will love you. Believe me, I really, really believe that. See you next time.